Alrighty, testing. Testing the sound here from 144K HQ. And assuming I can be heard, welcome everybody to this new moon 144K mass meditation. And we have another great gathering here. So many old and new faces. This is your loving servant, the unknown light warrior, welcoming this gathering on the November 19th and 20th, 2025, new moon is Scorpio. And I'll keep on talking until the sound check confirmations come in. So this mass intervention, as I often call it, is another great opportunity because of the Uranus factor, where shocks, surprises, and lightning bolt kind of effects can be something that can be controlled or influenced or gently ushered in a far more better direction. Highly opportune to make the most of that. In other words, fulfill our soul mission as far as tonight or this morning is concerned, and produce a timeline that otherwise would not have occurred, would not have happened so soon. It'll eventually happen, but it won't happen so soon. Again, that's well, I wouldn't say unexpected from a 144K perspective, because we do it pretty much every 2 weeks. We raise the timelines significantly. That shifts things, and because we're consistent, it has that compounding effect, which saves so many lives, quickens and softens the journey to final freedom and galactic family reunion. And we got Scorpio that really likes to go kind of deep into something really fast as well. As ultimately the dark ones can only cause frustration, but we have a zero tolerance policy to any form of frustration or delay to full planetary liberation and galactic family return, reunion, reintegration with our off-world heritage and roots, which we have a basic right to. The darker ones can dislike that as much as they want. Freedom and abundance, paradise by today's standards, really is at hand if we remain consistent in making the right moves. The rest out there in the alt media is just downstream noise or downstream after effects of what we do here and now. Because we too can naturally, divinely play that so-called hidden hand behind the scenes that always moves things in a certain direction. And per your sole purpose and mission is an obligation to play a part in being the so-called hidden hand. So let's assist those positive Earth Alliance and Off-World Alliance efforts to finally liberate Goddess Gaia, the cradle, the original point of creation when it comes to anything into manifest form. As far as the whole omniverse is concerned. And I know that boggles the mind. But the truth is quite a difficult thing to handle many times. So, begin the process of stilling your mind, detaching, letting go, breathing deeply and slowly through your nose. In other words, start meditating, quite a quote in the traditional sense of the word. That effectively begins the mass meditation. And if you're new, welcome. What you are advised to do is recognize and accept that anything you see, project with your consciousness or visualize from the physical to the non-physical is something that is real and becomes literal. And that power will be harnessed with my support and guidance to completely transform the very mechanisms, the very scientific things, fields, forces that shape this lower density physical reality. And know that you'll be utilizing the software of the right hemisphere of your brain, not the software of your left hemisphere brain. Your right hemisphere brain does, sees, and accomplishes pretty much anything you set your intent on. It's just a question of intent. It's limitless and non-linear in nature, and that's fundamental and instantaneous. And that's fundamental to accessing your innately natural psychic abilities, whether you see it yourself that way or not. So use the software of the right hemisphere of your brain that the left hemisphere in the matrix calls imagination. The infamous misnomer, just like Giantino. So that you don't analyze, you don't try. You use the software that is imagination to instantly go into your right hemisphere brain through stillness, through the now. Imagination, quote unquote, and the now. That's your access point to your higher self. No secret. As you continue to breathe deeply and slowly, and be aware you'll be stepping way outside your existing current paradigm. What you know, your current level of consciousness, you'll be stepping way outside the boundaries, your mental boundaries. That's where the secret is. And knowing how to do that. In other words, begin with dropping all expectations and understandings You'll be going way beyond that tonight. As you continue to breathe deeply and slowly, in order to take this opportunity that we have for an even bigger turnaround in the energies here on the surface of the planet. Okay, let's go up to managers of multiverses to multiply the impact of this mass intervention by 100. And we'll be saving a lot of lives of positive, predominantly positive military operatives, risking their lives underground as we speak. And you have the honor to help with that. So much more lives are saved. Battles shortened. The more you and I raise the frequencies using the right techniques. Here we go. And now remember, use the highest form of consciousness there is. That's called imagination. Know it's all real. And do, before you even get a chance to think, a big psychic secret. Because the answer, or in our case, the image, is right where the question is asked, or the intent is set. Are you ready to catch things? I know you don't have to visualize things perfectly at all. See yourself in a gigantic, dark, silver, translucent, crystal ball. See yourself just near the equator, on the inside of this huge crystal ball that is real. The chair you're sitting on, that's what's fake. Like I said, totally use the right hemisphere of your brain from now on. And let's all call in Gaia. Well, you see all your other fellow 144K comrades in their golden light bodies, dotted evenly around the equator of the crystal ball, spaced evenly, starting from your far left and far right. And let's call in Gaia. Some of you will have your own sacred connection and relationship with Gaia. You can call her in your own way if you like. Otherwise, just follow along. Authentic Gaia, we call upon the one true authentic goddess Gaia. Please be here with us, please. All right, see her in the very center of this dotted golden ring of 144K members surrounding her. Right in the center of the whole gigantic crystal ball. A door, the beautiful white polar ice caps and clouds over the blue oceans. Alrighty, and now we start to move up through the layers of this universe. And if you have your own guides that you consciously work with, you can call them in now. She has given us permission to take her up. And you notice the layers of this universe. Moving really fast from top to the bottom of the crystal ball, and all you really see is a soft flickering light through the translucent walls of the crystal ball as you are taken up. We're all going up through the layers of this universe, racing towards the last thick outer boundary of this universe. And of course, this is profound energy healing methods you're learning here. You can apply in your own life as you continue to observe. That soft flickering light through the translucent walls of the crystal ball, calming you, centering you, stilling your mind, helping you move further out of the limiting linear mind and any judgment, as you're about to explore now. As we're about to break through, reach and break through that last thick outer boundary of this universe, widen your image. Totally fine if it's faint, with Gaia in the middle. The soft flickering light of every layer of the universe coming through the walls of the crystal ball, calming you even more as you're centered, present in the now. The now is your access point to your higher self and your natural psychic abilities. Just have a go. Take that last glance at Gaia, and all of a sudden, everything goes bright white. It's so bright you have to squint your eyes. You can barely see Gaia in the middle. As we move through that outer boundary of this universe, and we're through. It all goes dark, and you see a big ball of light beneath us. rapidly turn into a small ball of light, and we rise above a whole ocean of other small balls of light. And we rise above that. And that turns into a small ball of light. And we rise above, that is the multiverse that we just left, and we rise above a whole ocean of multiverses. And we rise above that. All gone. Feel the stillness. Feel the calmness. Allow it to anchor you in the now. And take a glance at your guides, if you have them, or Gaia, and all the other 144K members surrounding her, your comrades. As I run through standard protocols, and as we continue to rise up even higher to a sacred little known place. Adore Gaia as I do this. Authentic light. We call upon the one true authentic light beings. Managers of multiverses, the HOD, please make sure we go to you and no one else, true HOD. Okay. You look past Gaia, through the roof of the crystal ball, and you see a single point of white light. Getting bigger and bigger and brighter, it begins to light up the whole roof of the crystal ball. More and more. And now we finally reach it. We come to a sudden yet somehow gentle stop, and we slowly and lovingly move through this platform of light. As it lovingly, slowly envelops this crystal ball, and we rise above. It closes at the bottom. Opens up at the top. As we slowly and gently rise above this platform of light, a little known place. And now we form a straight line behind and above Gaia. Standing in solidarity. The crystal ball peels evenly and slowly from the top center. Nice and slowly, to allow for a more gentle decompression, especially if you're new. It's okay if you don't feel too much at the beginning, because the further away a given level of light is, the more subtle it is. So let go and be in stillness as the crystal ball peels all the way down. And now look up and see and feel these managers of multiverses, specializing in transmutation, among other things, but so much faster at a larger scale. Now, look up and see and feel these very translucent light beings. Doesn't matter how your rational left hemisphere brain will show them to you as, it'll simply be based on reference points for such a thing. And feel what they feel like to establish your own connection and build on your own connection with them. Just being in their field, in their presence, clears your field and upgrades you. They have their own unique energy signature, so feel what they feel like. Again, if you're new, you may be yawning a lot or having trouble staying awake. That's because your system's not quite acclimated and accustomed to being pumped full of so much super high frequency. And that's okay. That's normal. Okay, now pay a little bit of background attention to the center of your head, where a lot of our higher senses are, as you look at them and receive. Authentic Hot, can you please send us a massive wave of your energy so we can truly feel you to an undeniable and unmistakable physical level? And just look and feel for about a minute or so. Okay. Authentic Hot, can you please send us a massive wave of your energy to our hearts? So we can feel you in the heart. Engage heart. And have a little bit of background attention or consciousness on the center of your chest or even sternum. It's important to practice your sensitivities. It really helps with your own life. Nice. Again, if you're new and you weren't able to feel anything, first of all, try less or don't try at all and detach and let go. And secondly, it's sort of normal because this is beyond most people's reference points. But you'll get that. So hang in there. Okay. So we have Gaia before us. Now go in and glance at your guides or Gaia while I call in the rest of the teams quickly, and then take us to omnipresence to multiply the power and impact of this mass meditation by another 100. Otherwise, planetary liberation would take forever. I'll call upon the infinite army of the authentic amalgam of the authentic Oberon lineage. I'll call upon the elders of the amalgam. I call upon the team of beings that created this universe and physicality as a way to figure out how to corral all the dark back to the light. That presents itself as one man in our model called Oberon, and you can see him as a giant golden being of light off to the right, perhaps, just on the other side of Gaia. Okay, repeat after me, everybody. I call upon all of my higher density aspects, higher self. And see him or her next to Oberon, perhaps. There's a powerful powerhouse psychic and energy work tools you're learning here as well. Okay, repeat after me. I call upon the entirety of my authentic soul. And see what looks like a star, a bright star, just up above the HOD appear. Repeat after me. I call upon my authentic oversoul and I am presence. And see your oversoul in a bigger ball of light in a different color, perhaps, to differentiate behind your soul, and an even bigger ball of light back to white, if you like. That is your I am. Fundamentally omnipresent. Now look up at your soul over soul and I am, and the HOD at a minimum. Authentic Legion of Light. There is Gaia. There she is. Here we are. Can you please take us all to the space and place of omnipresence? Take a brief glance at Gaia and then your I am, and then allow yourself to see a very bright white light. So bright, you have to squint your eyes as we are taken to omnipresence. It's as if you're traveling through infinite light, which itself is cleansing. You can barely see Gaia. And then the bright white light just disappears. Everything looks the same. Okay, so now we begin a critical aspect, a critical move in truly clearing and healing and liberating, both internally or externally. And that is taking your time, being methodical and patient in showing all your higher aspects and these teams, this huge amassing of light. Show them. As a representative of the macro of humanity. Show them any predominant feeling, emotion, or energy that you've been experiencing. Over the past couple of days. What have you been struggling with? So they can clear it within you and the rest of humanity. Take your time showing them this. Be present with them. At a minimum, the HOD and your I am. And this really is the secret sauce to successful shadow work. To true energy work that has way more impact. Really, half your time should be spent in properly showing whatever light team you're working with through true presence as you see them before you. Otherwise, they can't really hear you because it's so noisy down here and within our own auric fields. And if as you do that, there's not as much of a need to show them worldly affairs these days as there was only a few weeks ago, because that situation is very under control. And again, more of a afterthought in terms of what causes world events to go the way they go. We're going to go deep. The deeper things that actually cause or lead to existing worldly affairs out there in the external, at least what we're allowed to know. So I'm going to be silent for a few minutes for you to show the teams, really get intimate with them. what you would like to see resolved. And they'll, whether it's internal or external, and if you just want galactic contact, you can imagine that as well. Show them that intent as well. Okay. Because it's a new moon, new moons generally being about new beginnings and setting new intentions, show them that. What's an intent for the world and for yourself that you would really want to see? Whatever it may be. As new moons again are all about fresh new beginnings in at least one area of your life, which is primarily decided by astrology, your personal astrology. New intents, new manifestations, starting things. So show what you want, but for yourself and for the planet. They will scan that in a heartbeat from omnipresence, and anything that's in the way, they will remove. Of course, it's all done in conjunction with your soul purpose and higher self. So your true identity is still always in control. Again, the secret source to true energy healing is showing them. Showing them what exactly you want resolved, healed, cleared, or manifested, achieved, whatever the case may be. And so we're going to do a little we're going to go kind of freestyle with this so that I don't unintentionally limit you. Be present and go right ahead. Show them what you need. Live it, visualize it. Just have them in the background of your consciousness. If you can't see them at the same time, that's fine. So treat it as a classic old metaphysical manifestation, living and feeling as if exercise. just for a couple more minutes whilst being present with them and seeing them in the background, or having them in the background of your consciousness. Any form of negativity, any form of negativity you've been experiencing, especially in the last 3 or 4 days, or as many weeks as it's been there for, show it to them. Through vision, a limited amount of emotion, but energy. Show them memories. If it's something you want to resolve, otherwise, show them what you want to manifest. With this new moon, new phase. Really be present with him while he's showing him things. Detach. Faint images will do just as well. Okay, begin to finish up this part of the process. Okay, well done. Critical energy healing skills you're learning here. Now, there are a lot of, the term has been gnarly, that's been thrown about recently. A lot of very gnarly energies at this new moon period has brought up, and it's not just because of the usual forms of resistance to planetary liberation, but also this, for the first time, the situation on the physical surface of this planet is really only now coming to a head in the past few weeks. So there's more of a squeeze, an intensity, as light from above and light from below the surface really starts squeezing the surface. And that's what we've been feeling as well. It's not just a simple case of the purifying cosmic winds of the CMEs and galactic photons coming from outside the solar system. And as always, that's pushed up a lot of stuff, a lot of uninvited non-physicals. And there's a general cleanup required to really stabilize things and bring things back to a much more calmer, nicer, peaceful, stabilized state, but also to make it much easier for Gaia and the collective to really more gracefully accrete period this high density frequencies and plasma and photons and so forth, to better accrete that, to bring about stability, both externally throughout society and the world and geopolitics and but also with the Earth's crust, to avoid volcanoes and earthquakes, to save lives that way. So, see Gaia in the middle, a little below us. We surround her. Now see, let's place her in a quarantine sphere, a white one if you prefer. Now look up at your I am as a large star over on the far side in the background. And repeat after me. Authentic I am presence. Show Gaia from omnipresence. And pick a color of Gaia from a familiar physical image to a single monotone color that's holographic, that to you represents all levels and aspects of Gaia, omnipresent aspect of Gaia. Okay. Now, see your I am presence almost instantaneously appear way above the quarantine sphere. This will take about 20 minutes. It's an old tried and true method that has been confirmed by a totally unaware third party some time ago that, yeah, the dark ones, the physical dark ones, really went crazy from this massive tidal wave of light. So I know this works and is real. So we're going to slowly start to bring what I call affectionately the I am behemoth method. And we're going to slowly bring what is really our collective I am closer and closer to the North Pole bit by bit, where the outer field of such an insane concentration of light is so massive that the bottommost periphery of our collective I am that's focused on this one spot doesn't even have to touch a Gaia, not by any stretch. But the outer field is so intense that it just cleanses like nobody's business. Of course, we've got the hod in the background as well, throwing in their weight. And this has been really reliable. Simple, tried and true, but really reliable in radically raising the frequencies, grids, and timelines. It's been a while since we've done it, and again, the cosmic winds of various kinds that have been so extreme these past few days, in particular, the past week, it really has exposed and kicked up a lot of stuff, and they're not going so gracefully. They're not just leaving. Many are, but they're generally just being an issue and ladening Gaia's ability to receive more light, preventing it basically. All right. So in a moment, you'll repeat after me. Now take a look at the managers of multiverses. It's called the HOD. See them surrounding us. They've sort of separated. There's 5 of them, and they're sort of all around, evenly spaced. You can see two of them in the background, on either side perhaps, left and right. Your I am up above, and that's enough. If you can see them, you're connected. All right. So we're going to really ask the right question or set the right algorithm by setting the right intent. And look up at your I am. Still a fair distance above the quarantine sphere that holds Gaia and protects us at the same time. Let's see Gaia in that holographic image. Now, with that image in mind, repeat after me. Authentic I am presence, authentic high self, authentic HOD, and Oberon. From the space of omnipresence, can you scan and clear once and for all the top 5 blocks to planetary liberation down to the physical surface level? As you say that to them, shift your focus more towards Gaia, but have them in the periphery of your vision. And as you look at that holographic image of Gaia that is omnipresence. Hard to verbalize, but the omnipresent image of Gaia. And that very much includes physical third density, down to the quantum and subquantum, and subspace levels, spaces in between, outside of time, the usual suspects. See what they were probably already showing you even as you were asking the question, such as the power of the now and the right hemisphere of the brain. Use your so-called imagination. Be willing, adventurous, curious to step outside your reference points, your current level of consciousness, beyond the boundaries of the known. That's where the secrets lie. By not analyzing, not going based on expectation, let go and be the silent witness. You're safe outside the quarantine sphere. Alrighty. It all comes when you let go and don't try. Because your higher mind, through the right hemisphere of your brain, does know. It is showing you. It all comes down to your ability to receive, which is influenced by the usual, such as false beliefs or the left hemisphere brain not really letting go. Not being able to trust that the right intent, the right question does the job. Because it really does. And receive. All right. Now, look up at the teams. Again, your I am and two of the hod and the far side at a minimum. And just ask them to include what you showed them earlier, what you want to manifest. And to clear that as well. And what comes up gets exposed as a block. It'll appear throughout Gaia. Within the wide quarantine sphere. Alrighty. And chances are you'll see Gaia as just going all sorts of very dark grey. Because there's so much there within the subconscious fields, hidden fields and realms of just the collective alone, let alone third and fourth density physical plane, which is our main focus. But that's the last boundary, if you will. Again, abstract representation always works just as well. It's whatever way your left hemisphere brain will understand it. That's the way your right hemisphere brain and higher mind will give it to you. All right, now see your I am up above. And all of our I am are in that one space. In this one powerful breakthrough now moment that's focused and concentrated like a laser. So it's going to punch a major hole through the walls of this matrix in a big way. Time for a deep mass cleanse. Primarily third and fourth density at this point. Down to the subquantum level, never mind subspace, which is kind of like a void that's in between all space and time. They say a whole atomic structure is an access point to another universe within it. So size doesn't matter. What matters is the right intent of whatever it is blocking our freedom, which in our case for now is off-world contact, even physical reunion, whatever's in the way of that. And freedom from all non-physical hidden control of all forms. That includes AI, whatever it is. See the blackness representing all of this. And see your I am start to move, well, all of our collective I am, which is unprecedented. Okay. Well, we've done it a few times before, but you get the point. And see your I am start to move slowly closer and closer. And see, because we're really going to go through a lot of frequencies here, a lot of different places, fields, quantum, subquantum, area, in between spaces and outside of time, but the quantum substrate, which is just another fancy word for beneath the quantum level. Although there's plenty at the atomic level, plenty there. We're covering it all. The main focus being upper atmosphere through the crust, with the heaviest concentration of blocks throughout the surface. And all the creepy crawlies, whatever it is. Sometimes it's just energy with its own false or reverse or negative consciousness. Whatever it is, the right question brings up the true answer. And that's visually represented within that quarantine sphere. And as we all bring, our infinite power and infinite light of our collective I am focused on this one spot. Bring it slowly closer and closer. And as it comes closer, you start to see the blackness of the upper atmosphere above the North Pole, starting to do that perturbation, that vibration, that outwards clash and pushing inward and outward of mass transmutational focused energy. And it begins to perturbate and trigger and ruffle up the blackness around the stratosphere above the North Pole. And you start to see an intense white light starting to appear in the muster blackness as the transmutation really starts up. And for you veterans, you know that there's this outward emanation of waves or circles. Again, very similar to dropping that pebble on the surface of a steel pond. You get that outwards emanation of those little waves. And you start to see that here. And those outer concentric circles moving outwards throughout the northern hemisphere down into the equator like waves, ruffling up the blackness and greyness. And so this is where you really want to be comprehensive and really take no prisoners, because everything in our way, in terms of what we want, what you showed them before, is all shown and presented there within the quarantine sphere throughout Gaia. It's all real. And now start to see this absolutely intense, bright, constant flashing, almost like constant nuclear bombs of white transmutational light, sort of clashing against the blackness, the resistance. As an outer field of our concentrated I am collective, still way above the quarantine sphere, way above Gaia, just takes no prisoners. Again, physical dark ones did seriously feel this in a massive way. Oh God, over a year ago, from what I recalled in terms of third-party verification anyway. So rest assured it's real. Clearing a lot more than those invisible influences, invisible structures, invisible players, consciousness, systems, AI, behind the invisible walls of this matrix, all being cleansed and cleared down to the quantum and subquantum level. As you see the white light, you can see from whatever angle you want, but take that occasional glance at your I am up above and at least feel the HOD on either side. And really take your time with this because it's incredibly thorough. And the main focus here is, clearing all those things, mostly at the fourth and third density level, including the physical, Clear those grids. Clear what's infected the sacred goddess. As now the white transmutational light is starting to move in like a sinking satellite dish, just or a bowl, just moving inward through the atmosphere of the northern hemisphere, moving towards the physical surface, which is where the highest concentration of resistance. Cobra subscribers were familiar with the quantum and subquantum anomaly, which is base root chaos factor that allows for Murphy's Law to even exist. Whatever's blocking your dreams and final liberation of this planet at the physical surface level. Galactic contact leading to mass landings, free energy, traveling the stars again, finally. Everything that's in the way, even if it's something personal. Your so-called personal problems are very unlikely to be unique to you. It's always surprising how universal our most private struggles and problems are. This is your opportunity, your chance to seriously, literally, and I'm talking from experience here, on behalf of many 144K veterans, to literally wake up on a different timeline and nicer energies the next morning. That's a literal track record, achieved certainly most of the time for 144K mass meditations. Now, see the white light, this intense, overwhelming transmutation of white light, so bright, moving, finally reaching the surface of the North Pole. And that first incursion into the blackness that holds us bondage, it's always takes the longest because it's that initial inroad where there's still a lot of the resistance still there before it gets transmuted. And see the surface begin to appear as a faint baby blue kind of color right in the bottom and center of this, what looks like a dish bowl of white transmutational light as it moves in and starts to move through the crust, clearing something called the quantum and subquantum anomaly. And some pretty ungodly things that exist within it and because of it. So this is really draining the swamp. Again, it's mostly focus on the physical plane, third and fourth density, but again, we only see 0.07%, I think it is, of the physical plane. That's all we can see, courtesy of genetic manipulation. So we're clearing the other 99.3% of what we don't see if it wasn't for this particular natural, innate within you psychic technique. Thanks to the right hemisphere knowing how to use it. Again, there is no such thing as imagination. There is such a thing as intent and knowing what the right intent is. It's the only real secret source. And really imagine your I am presence is literally transmuting whatever it is that's holding us down or holding us back from entering into the fifth density and getting the light down to the physical surface. Anything that's in the way from galactic contact and your intent, your goals, what you want to see happen, as that more of that baby blue surface of the North Pole gets exposed and what looks like a crater at this point of white transmutational light is constantly transmuting huge amounts of resistance across all frequencies and spectrum throughout the entirety of the physical plane, just in regular time space. That's not even mentioning the subquantum or quantum substrate, which is basically in between all space and time. And see what looks like walls of light starting to go outwards throughout towards Northern Europe and Canada, in Siberia, and just pushing. They're like walls, white transmutational walls on a like a slant, on an angle, as a white, bright, flashing white crater of transmutational light really takes shape, and more of the baby translucent, transparent blue of Gaia's surface becomes more and more visible. And we're all together really, because we're all focused on the same thing on this particular meditation, we're really realigning and harmonizing and bringing back to divine state all the quantum particles of various kinds throughout the physical plane, just in regular time space, and bringing them back into harmony, divine, sacred geometric shape again, cleansing negative frequencies out of them, turning them into these gorgeous, every particle, atomic, subatomic, quantum, turning them into these rainbow-colored sacred geometric goddessy shapes, sacred geometry, all of that. That's how you change reality, so-called reality. So I really do imagine, as unstoppable as a humongous tsunami would be, all right, nothing's going to stand a chance that's in its path. This is like that multiplied by 1,000. Think in those terms in order to allow and actualize this. Again, it's all, I'm being literal here. I'm talking from experience. And now the incredible, overwhelming white light. If you can imagine 1,500,000 megaton nuclear bombs going off at the same time, that's the level of power our focused, concentrated ion brings. And such a level of cleansing and transmutation at so many levels makes it inevitable there's going to be a huge timeline jump, let alone much nicer, calmer, peaceful energies. That's just blissful down to the physical surface. As we move deep underground, that concave or expanding white, bright, incredibly intense sort of satellite dish kind of shape moves well into Europe, well into Siberia, transmuting and in a sense pushing back all sorts of ungodly, dark systems, technologies, grids, AIs, entities, anomalous, amorphous stuff that just ain't right, let alone ungodly, pushing and transmuting it back. Transmuting it. And just see, predominantly throughout the atmosphere and crust of Gaia, this overwhelming, outwardly expanding walls of white light at this point, pushing through, mostly throughout the atmosphere and crust of Gaia. Take your time. This is collecting a lot like you wouldn't believe. Again, take that occasional glance. And your I am up above. And at least two of the HOD. On either side in the background, if you know, that's enough. Enjoy the show. And it's like this just crazy, like force field kind of imagery that you can feel and allow yourself. Imagine you're even feeling this incredible force moving through Gaia slowly, because you need to make it thorough but also gentle enough, with most of the transmutation being, and resistance for that matter, concentrated throughout the lower atmosphere, surface and crust of Gaia, especially the surface. That's where most of the insane mass transmutation is going on. As we start to reach southern Europe, these walls of white light start to turn more like a ring of intense white light, transmuting and pushing back seemingly infinite depths of grey and blackness. These walls of light or ring of light is gradually, thoroughly, comprehensively transmuting and moving downwards, reaching the Middle East and China and the US, purifying like nobody's business. Exposing, leaving in its wake a pristine, goddessy baby blue, translucent surface. Have full faith in the power, the seeming infallibility of your I am. And you can always change the background color of the quarantine sphere into any color or tone that you want to help differentiate between the intense white transmutational light and whatever background color you choose for the quarantine sphere. And see your I am, just the bottom portion of the bottom shining rays, infinite rays, move oh so slightly lower, still far from even touching Gaia's outer field because it doesn't need to when you're using it like this. Again, there literally is godlike powers. When projecting your consciousness from the physical to, well, pretty much anything else, let alone the non-physical, and working multidimensionally this way, it really is the connecting link that just transforms en masse. So now we move into, we reach Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, and Spain, moving through the heartland of the US. And see this constantly rapid, intense movement and flashing of masses of white transmutational light throughout the atmosphere and crust of Gaia. As an outer force field of our collective I am is just overwhelming anything based on our intent, working in tandem. With anything dark, no matter how hidden or amorphous or faint it is, it just goes pop. Reaching North Africa, halfway through China, reaching the Himalayas and northern India. We're doing pretty good speed, partly because we've done this a handful of times over the past 12 months only. Clearing anything and everything in the way of what you want to manifest previously. Closing all manner of ungodly things, layers of it, different frequencies, down to the quantum, atomic, quantum and subquantum level, and all the void, the space in between spaces. Enjoy the show as we come close to the hemisphere, the equator, I should say. Coming really close to it. You see the baby blue, the natural, original, pristine energy of Gaia herself. Nothing can survive this. As we reach and move through the equator, And this is simply the image to meditate on. Cleansing, cleansing, purifying, transmuting. Clearing the grids. See the thickness of what's getting peeled away between all that blackness, the white light pushing it downward, leaving a pristine blue, baby blue. As we're moving past the equator, through the heart of the Congo in Central Africa, horrible things there. Cleanse it, liberate lives, save lives, literally, albeit indirectly. And at this point, it is safe to get the occasional micro image of whatever kind of unsavory thing, whether it has form or no form, structures, technological grids and structures, what's left of them anyway, hidden stuff within atoms, within quantum particles. Again, size doesn't matter. See it all being cleansed, transmuted, connecting links, connecting wormholes or portals to God knows what ungodly place. See him just disappear. Swept away, but this intense, incomprehensibly intense walls of white light. It looks more like a ring now, a thick ring, because the core of Gaia is relatively okay. The crust, surface, and atmosphere, very different story. Insane resistance, insane discordant energies at all frequencies and levels of the physical plane. Let's get rid of it all. Okay, now we've reached Northern Australia, racing towards South Africa. Of course, you don't have to see any faint shoreline. It's giving you some kind of frame of reference. And as we come to a finishing point in a few minutes, cleanse. See these intense, huge depth of blackness being transmuted, and the white walls of white light that are now beginning to converge inwards towards the South Pole, and just sweep them away, transmuting them and leaving in its wake that pristine, pure and innocence of Gaia, the goddess energy. center of creation, as we're liberating her and everything else. Remember, this planet is the last bastion, I guess, bastion of whatever's dark. Several insiders from different sources have said, yeah, they all retreated to this planet. All. Both physical and non-physical darkness. Again, if you haven't already, take the occasional glance at two of the HOD and your I am in the background. Enjoy the show as we complete. Your higher self, your I am, or our focused, concentrated collective I am, is a big ball of light, just never needing to touch the northern hemisphere, but it's lower and moving. Those huge, thick walls of transmutational light, which is the outer force field of our collective I am presence, just begin to converge, coming through Chile and Argentina, past Australia, and begin to converge towards the shores of the South Pole of Antarctica. Intensify the light as we come to a closing crescendo on this massive timeline jump to be proud of. Again, real change takes, sustained focus. If you want to cover huge ground all at once, as we're now reaching the shores of Antarctica, and that ungodly intense blackness is just there. A lot of depth to it though, and it's sort of converging inward. Those walls, or super thick, super bright ring of light for the most part, converging towards the South Pole. Antarctica has got quite the history, needless to say, never mind artifacts. Transmuting the entirety of the third and fourth physical density. And now you probably want to see it as if you're beneath the Gaia or thereabouts, and to see Antarctica a little better, and this walls of light converging, narrowing and converging on the South Pole. And because of the angle that they come on, the darkness within the crust or underground is already sort of joined together, converged with the white transmutational walls of light, and now that sort of moves upwards, and the blackness really turns into a narrow, thin cone almost, and it quickly gets overwhelmed and disappears. And then the white light disappears, and now all you see is baby blue, pristine, goddessy baby blue. And well done, everybody. See Gaia beaming in this pristine highlight, fifth density baby blue color. You may see a magenta outer glow. Bring it forth, light up her grids, bring a lot of light. Use the ultimate power and weapon that you have, which is properly directed consciousness. Raise the frequencies, consolidate the purification by purifying and raising the frequencies. And this allows the Earth Alliance and Inner Earth Alliance to conduct their operations far quicker, far more successfully, far more smoothly, and better than expected results. And I'm talking from track record here with third-party verification to go so much better. Freeing us, getting ourselves free so much sooner and more smoothly too. Now really see Gaia with all her grids just pure white, rainbow colored here and there, outer emanation of magenta, some gold. And well done, everybody. Look up here, I am. Feel it. Take it. Be at one with it. Because you are connected to it when you focus on it consciously. Thank the managers of the multiverses, the HOD, and your guides. If you were able to maintain consciousness on them. As they congratulate you. Because as one wise mentor said, that they're totally 1,000,000% committed to you and your path and soul potential. That is so important, so sacred. And something to be so proud of. Okay, so see Gaia glistening and move a violet or purple wave of light throughout the field of Gaia and Gaia herself, obviously. Holding the intent of clearing all energetic traces of you. Just briefly. And now return fully back into your room, being fully aware of your surroundings. And you don't have to travel back or transition back down to this earthly plane because your consciousness already is everywhere, and that's who and what you really are. And send your feedback, send your experience. Tell us about what you saw or did or experienced that's worth telling in the Telegram chat. the 144K Telegram chat. Would love to hear you about your experience of this and your little report. Try to keep it short and succinct as best you can, because this is important. And congratulations, dear one. We really brought forth the most positive possibilities and outcomes that the Uranus factor within this new moon alone can bring, let alone making the most of this grand water trine that is happening so much with healing and clearing and clarity for all of us, with the Saturn, Jupiter, conjunct Lilith, I believe, and Mercury, grand water trine, which is profound, really helping move humanity forward in a more healing and quicker way. So, in other words, astrology is the cosmos, is the language of the cosmos, and it's clear what the cosmos wants, what source wants. We're just doing our part per our soul path and purpose. Love to you all. A big salute to all of you. I really mean that. And let's hear what you got to say in the Telegram chat. And well done, beloved one. You've really built up and practiced and learned and strengthened your own personal psychic skills, which is worth so much in your own life. And now receive the salute from me. And it's only going to get more interesting from here. I know most of you know that. And receive the admiration, respect, love, and appreciation from all that is. And that's literal. Make no mistake about it. See you all soon, dear ones. We've made a giant leap forward to true healing, bliss, and justice. And you're in the right place or time to maximize making that happen. This is your loving servant, the Unknown Light Warrior. See you all real soon, dear ones.